There once was a man from the Veneto who made wide-ranging works in graffito. Drawing and interiors were the subjects inferior he taught at the UAV incognito. Although Scarpa's works seem perpetual, his status a posthumous intellectual, despite a vast oeuvre now much in restauro, licensure was never effectual. Not architect, they called him professore. Nonetheless, he was marked a trasgressore. He was hauled into court several times for his tort. In fact, he designed the courtroom that he was hauled into, by those licensed yet inferiore. Of all the charges, he was acquitted, as his services went unremitted. His details too fussy, in a manner far too fussy, these were the crimes he committed. From drawings revised in perpetuity, his works speak of discontinuity. In Vicenza and Asolo, this modern-day Polo, Marco, practiced bembos a salare with impunity. Glass design on Murano was his start. Wisdom superior it did in part. Throughout his career, he would always adhere to the craftsmen of Venice and their art. His early work mimicked Frank Lloyd Wright's. In Rob Millay Stevens, he took delight. Yet much later on, he regretted his puns, sounding a note that was most contrite. At Uffizi, Accademia, and Correr, to his museums few can compare. He reordered interiors for art fine and inferior, juxtaposing in a manner none dare. At Verona's Castelvecchio, which some of you may already know, he moved and restored an ancient warlord, con grande, who suffers perpetual vertigo. One's journey at Castelvecchio begins in its garden. Betwixt hedges, towards fountains, one's hearkened. Once through the green cleft, one pivots hard left, towards the entrance, cool and darkened. Continuing a path quite specific, engaging in artworks prolific, an upper level discreet, the garden's path one repeats until back in the court honorific. At Posagno, he made an addition, and there it is, Museo Conoviana commissioned, a scheme marked by Mies van der Rohe, its view blocked by trees, far too many. This spectacle needs an optician. Remembered as museum architect, depictions as such are not correct. Interiors and gardens confined to the margins were the bulk of his oeuvre in effect. Yet, his landscapes and gardens are not well known. Their design, a practice never condoned. In post-war Italy, they argued mightily about housing and cities and those alone. Most consider his zenith Brion, un giardino fatto per Zion. This locus amoenus, though public and commodious, was denounced as fulsome utopian. Vandalized by student graffiti and architectural impiety, The timing was poor for one family's grandeur in La Campagna of San Vito de Altivole. Those times that Scarpa needed to get away, he sequestered with friends at Monselice, at Villa Palazzetto con la famiglia Busanaro. His redesign was how he paid to stay. Aldo and Carlo traveled together. They did so for business and for pleasure. To the Middle East and Asia, Scarpa traveled ex gratia till his body was found in a cellar. At Sendai, none there to tell, a flight of steps down he fell. After 10 days of hospital stay, he was shipped to Brion for farewells. An oeuvre undervalued by skeptics deserves more than these poor limericks. For were you to examine the waters he swam in, you'd discover there something authentic. Thank you.